Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss new silver updates. Here is a number that should stop every silver investor in their tracks. In 2024, the solar panel industry alone consumed 244 million ounces of silver. That is 244 million ounces used up, incorporated into panels, permanently removed from available supply, just by the solar sector in a single year. To put that in context, total global silver mine production in 2024 was approximately 820 million ounces. Solar alone consumed nearly 30% of everything the world's mines produced, and that was before the AI data center construction boom started adding its own enormous appetite for silver-powered renewable energy infrastructure. Before next-generation TOPCon solar cells, which require 50% more silver per panel than the previous standard, became the dominant cell architecture in the market. Before 14 to 15 million electric vehicles per year started each consuming up to 50 grams of silver. The Silver Institute's December 2025 report, titled Silver, the Next Generation Metal, commissioned from Oxford Economics, was unambiguous. Solar, AI data centers, and electric vehicles will drive silver industrial demand higher through 2030. Industrial demand now accounts for 60% of all silver consumption globally, and it is growing every year. Today we are going to break down exactly how solar panels and AI data centers are driving silver demand through the roof, and what it means for silver's price. Let's get into it. Section 1. Silver's unique properties. Why there is no substitute. Before we dig into the specific demand numbers, we need to understand why silver is being consumed by these industries in the first place, because the answer to that question explains why this demand is not going away. Silver has three properties that make it irreplaceable in high-technology applications. The first is electrical conductivity. Silver is the best conductor of electricity of any element at room temperature. Better than copper, better than gold, better than aluminium, better than any other material on Earth. This is not a minor difference. Silver's electrical conductivity is approximately 6% better than copper, and dramatically better than any non-metallic alternative. In photovoltaic cells, where silver paste is applied to the front and back of each cell to create the electrical contacts that carry electrons from the silicon to the circuit, that superior conductivity directly translates to higher energy conversion efficiency. Every fraction of a percent of efficiency matters enormously at the scale of a gigawatt solar farm. The second is thermal conductivity. Silver is more thermally conductive than copper, aluminium, or bronze. Per the Silver Institute's Oxford Economics report, this prevents overheating and performance losses in high-current applications, exactly what you find in EV battery management systems, AI data center servers, and power electronics. The third is corrosion resistance. Silver resists oxidation in ways that cheaper alternatives do not. In the high-voltage, high-temperature environments inside EVs and solar installations, corrosion at contact points causes efficiency losses and system failures. Silver's corrosion resistance is a direct engineering requirement, not a preference. These three properties together explain why the Silver Institute states explicitly that silver will remain an essential component across multiple high-growth sectors, and why, as Kotak MF's analysis notes, silver's unique properties make it exceedingly difficult to substitute in high-performance applications, ensuring sustained and growing demand. You cannot simply swap silver out for a cheaper alternative without accepting a meaningful performance penalty. In precision electronics, solar panels, and EV power systems, that penalty is unacceptable. Section 2. Solar panels, the engine of silver demand. Solar is the single biggest industrial story in silver demand, and it is a story with a twist that most analysts are missing. Let's start with the headline numbers. In 2014, the solar sector accounted for approximately 11% of global silver demand. By 2024, that had risen to 29%, nearly one-third of all the silver the world consumes in a year. The 244 million ounces that solar consumed in 2024 represents the largest single industrial use of silver in human history. The IEA projects that new solar capacity added between now and 2030 will account for more than 80% of all growth in renewable power globally, with a compound annual growth rate in solar capacity of 17% per year through 2030. By 2030, the IEA expects solar PV to become the world's foremost renewable energy source. The European Union alone has set a target to deliver at least 700 gigawatts of solar capacity by 2030. China, the US, India, and dozens of other countries have equally aggressive solar targets, and here is the twist that most analysis misses. There has been an assumption in the market that solar's silver demand would decline over time due to thrifting, the process by which solar manufacturers gradually reduce the amount of silver paste required per cell through efficiency improvements. That assumption is being upended by the transition to next-generation cell architectures. The old standard cell technology, called purse passivated emitter and rear cells, was indeed experiencing thrifting, but in 2024, a new cell technology called TOPCon, tunnel oxide passivated contact, for the first time outsold purse cells globally and became the dominant architecture in the market. TOPCon cells are significantly more efficient than PERS cells, and critically, TOPCon cells currently consume approximately 50% more silver per cell than per cell, per the Silver Institute's December 2025 Next Generation Metal Report. Silver consumption rates of next-generation TOPCon cells are substantially higher than the previous standard. Silicon heterojunction cells, the generation after TOPCon, require even more silver. The implication is striking. Just as the market was expecting solar's silver demand to plateau or decline due to thrifting, the shift to more efficient but more silver-intensive cell architectures is reversing that trend. The short-term 2025 to 2026 numbers show some moderation in solar silver demand as the transition works through the system, but University of New South Wales research projects that solar manufacturers will require over 20% of the current annual silver supply by 2027, and by 2050 solar panel production is projected to consume approximately 85 to 98% of the current global silver reserves. That is not a typo. By 2050, at current reserve estimates and projected solar growth trajectories, solar alone could consume nearly all of the silver the Earth has left in the ground. Silver in every tech application uses quantities in 2026 demand forecasts application. Silver used, why silver is irreplaceable. 2024-2026, F demand standard per solar panel, tilde 1015 Gry per panel. Silver paste conducts electrons from cell surface, best conductor at room temp 244 mAs in 2024, 125 mAs in 2026 F. Thrifting offset by scale. TOPCon solar cell, next gen tilde 50% more silver than PRC higher efficiency. N-type cells require more silver metallization layers. Became #1 cell architecture in 2024. Silver demand per gigawatt, rising. Again, battery electric vehicle, BEV, 25 to 50 G per vehicle. Battery MGMT systems, power electronics, charging contacts, sensors 70-75 mAs in 2026 F. CAGR 3.4% through 2031. Silver Institute, BEV versus IC vehicle 67 to 79% more silver than IC EVs, have 3x the electrical systems. Silver is in all of them 14-15 million EVs, forecast 2026. Automotive demand growing every year. AI data center, power solar, arrays plus grid infra. Tech giants pledge 100% renewable power. Each hyperscale center needs its own solar array. 500 megawatt solar array, approximately 300 metric tons of silver, hundreds being built globally. AI data center hardware, circuit boards, connectors, cooling, silver used in server circuit boards, low resistance connectors, thermal management, IT power capacity up 252% since 2000, 93 GW, linked to silver demand is direct, 5G infrastructure antennas, base stations, PCBs, silver in every antenna contact and base station circuit, 5G has 10x more base stations than 4G 1520 MOS, from grid/data/5G combined in 2026, equity forecast, smart grid switches, contacts, inverters, silver contacts handle high current switching, no substitute for arc resistance, included in 1520 MOS combined infrastructure estimate for 2026, total industrial 680.5 MOS, 2024 record, 60% of all global silver demand, and rising every year, 682 MOS, 2025 F, second highest ever, 2026 set to grow further. Season 3, AI data centers, the multiplier effect on silver demand. Now, let's talk about AI data centers, because this is the demand story that most silver analysts are still underestimating. The connection between AI and silver demand works through two distinct channels, and most analysis only discusses one of them. Channel 1 is the most obvious: power consumption. A single hyperscale AI data center can consume as much electricity as a small city. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta have collectively pledged to power their AI data centers with 100% renewable energy. That means solar, and solar means silver. A single 500 megawatt solar array, large enough to power one hyperscale data center, requires approximately 300 metric tons of silver. There are hundreds of new hyperscale data centers currently under construction or in planning globally. The International Energy Agency projects that global electricity demand from data centers, AI, and cryptocurrency will double by 2026. That doubling of demand means a doubling of the renewable energy infrastructure required to power it, and silver is inside every solar panel in that infrastructure. Channel 2 is less obvious but equally important: the hardware itself. Silver is not inside every AI chip, but it is essential to the systems that power, cool, and connect those chips. Specifically, silver is used in advanced circuit boards for low-resistance signal pathways, in server connectors and contacts for reliable high-frequency data transmission, and in thermal management systems where silver's superior thermal conductivity prevents overheating. The Silver Institute's data is unambiguous on this connection. Total global IT power capacity increased approximately 53 times from 0.93 gigawatts in the year 2000 to nearly 50 gigawatts in 2025. A 5,252% increase in IT power demand translates directly into more computing hardware and consequently greater demand for silver. And crucially, per the Silver Institute's December 2025 analysis, the data center sector is relatively insulated from demand shocks due to rising silver prices or economic contraction. Why? Because governments worldwide are prioritizing data centers as critical national infrastructure, providing grants, tax breaks, and fast-track regulatory approvals. The US, UK, EU, and China have all rolled out policies designed to attract large-scale private investment in data center capacity. The demand is essentially government-guaranteed at this point, backed by the most powerful economic forces on Earth, the AI race between superpowers. Section 4. The full industrial demand picture. Numbers that tell the story. Now let's put all the numbers together, because the aggregate industrial demand picture for silver is unlike anything the market has experienced before. Industrial fabrication demand hit a record high of 680.5 million ounces in 2024 per the World Silver Survey. This represents 60% of total global silver demand, and it has been growing every year for a decade. To put the trajectory in perspective, in 2014, solar accounted for 11% of silver demand. By 2024, it was 29%. In 2014, EVs were a rounding error. By 2026, they are projected to consume 70 to 75 million ounces per year, with a compound annual growth rate of 3.4% through 2031 per the Silver Institute. In 2014, AI data centers were not a meaningful silver consumer at all. By 2030, combined data center, AI grid upgrade, and 5G infrastructure demand is projected to consume 30 to 40 million ounces per year. The HSBC 2026 Silver Outlook confirms the structural picture. The global silver supply deficit in 2025 alone was estimated at 230 million ounces, the largest single-year deficit in the modern silver market's recorded history. Mining output grew less than 1% in 2024 to 819.7 million ounces, while demand continued to grow. Supply simply cannot keep pace. Over 70% of silver is produced as a byproduct of mining for other metals, copper, zinc, lead, and gold. This means silver mine supply cannot be quickly scaled up in response to higher prices the way a primary silver mine might be. When copper demand drives copper mining, silver comes along. When copper demand is weak, silver supply suffers. The 7 to 10-year timeline for developing a new mine means any supply response to today's demand surge will not arrive until 2032 at the earliest. India's emergence as a demand powerhouse adds yet another dimension. India became the world's largest importer of refined silver in 2025, importing approximately $9.2 billion worth of silver, a 44% jump over 2024, despite prices nearly tripling in rupee terms. The combination of industrial demand from India's own solar and electronics manufacturing expansion, substitution demand from consumers switching from expensive gold to more affordable silver, and Diwali-driven physical buying created an entirely new demand center in the global silver market. Silver industrial demand growth forecast by sector 2024 to 2030, demand segment 2024, actual 2025 F 2026 F 2030 F, sorts solar PV 244 MAS GMO 230 MAS, 120 to 125 MAS GMO 250 MAS, Silver Institute Equity, automotive EVs GMO 230 MAS, GMO 230 MAS, 70 to 75 MAS GMO 195 MAS, Silver Institute IPME Data Centers AI 5G Grid, GMO 12 MAS, GMO 14 MAS, 15 to 20 MAS, GMO 30 to 40 MAS, Equity WO, Silver Institute Electronics Other GMO 260 MAS, GMO 55 MAS, GMO 260 MAS, GMO 180 MAS, Silver Institute, Total Industrial 680.5 MAS, 677, 682 MAS, 680 plus MAS, tilde 800 plus MAS, multiple sources, note asterisk, 2026 solar figure, lower than 2024, due to capacity additions being front-loaded. Topcon tech reversal expected to rebuild silver per GW from 2027 as next-gen cells scale Sexing 5. What this means for silver's price. Now let's translate the industrial demand story into the investment and price implications, because understanding the demand is only half the equation. The supply deficit is the other half. Silver has now run a supply deficit for 6 consecutive years. The HSBC 2026 Silver Outlook confirms the deficit was approximately 230 million ounces in 2025, roughly 28% of total annual mine production. The Silver Institute confirms a 6th consecutive annual market deficit is projected for 2026. Every year the deficit runs, it draws down inventories. COMEX registered silver inventories are down approximately 70% from peak levels. LBMA London vaults have seen similar depletion. These are not statistics. They are the physical reality of a market consuming more silver than it produces, year after year, with no supply response capable of closing the gap in the near term. The price implications, per a range of institutional and analytical sources, are significant. The Silver Institute's Oxford Economics report projects that solar, EV, and AI demand will drive industrial consumption higher through 2030. The equity analysis projects silver industrial demand growing toward 800 million ounces or more per year by the end of the decade. HSBC projects the gold-to-silver ratio compressing toward 50-1 by year-end 2026, which with gold near $5,100 implies silver approaching $100. Deutsche Bank has highlighted the possibility of silver reaching approximately $100 by year-end if the precious metals complex continues to strengthen. Longer term, IPMI analysis projects silver reaching $133 to $143 per ounce by 2027 to 2030, with some projections extending to $200 to $300 within 10 years, driven by the deepening structural deficits and the accelerating energy transition. The most important point for investors is this: silver's industrial demand is not speculative. It is not based on investor sentiment. It is not driven by fear, momentum, or macro trades. It is driven by real factories installing real solar panels, real automakers building real EVs, real tech giants constructing real data centers, all of which require real silver, in growing quantities, year after year. The Silver Institute's characterization of silver as the next generation metal is not marketing language. It is an accurate description of what the data shows: a metal at the intersection of the two most powerful industrial forces of the 21st century, the global energy transition and the AI revolution, with no adequate substitute, and a structural supply gap that is widening, not closing. Here are the three numbers from today's analysis that every silver investor needs to keep front and center. Number 1, 244 million ounces. That is what solar alone consumed in 2024, nearly 30% of all silver mined globally in a single year, and the University of New South Wales projects solar will consume over 20% of annual supply by 2027, rising toward 85 to 98% of current reserves by 2050. Number 2, 680.5 million ounces. That is 2024's record industrial demand, 60% of all silver consumed globally. Industrial demand is not cyclical investor sentiment. It is structural, growing, and price inelastic. Factories that have built solar farms and EV production lines around silver cannot simply switch to a different material when the price rises. Number 3, 230 million ounces. That is the estimated 2025 supply deficit, the gap between what the world produced and what the world consumed in silver. 6 years running, no supply response adequate to close it within this decade. The investment case for silver has always been made on monetary terms, as a hedge against inflation, dollar weakness, and systemic risk. Those arguments remain valid. But in 2026, for the first time in the metal's history, the industrial demand case is arguably stronger than the monetary case. Solar panels, AI data centers, electric vehicles, 5G infrastructure, and smart grids are not speculative themes. They are the physical infrastructure of the 21st century global economy, and silver is inside all of them. Subscribe for weekly silver analysis, hit like if this was useful, and drop in the comments: which sector, solar or AI, do you think will drive more silver demand over the next 5 years? See you in the next one.